Can a person be so ruthless that they not only take someone's life, but also erase all traces of their existence? This is the heartbreaking story of Monica Moynan, a hardworking mother, a mother of 2 young children, who suddenly disappeared in April of 2019. She worked as a waitress in a restaurant and was dreaming of building a better life for herself. But her ex-boyfriend put Monica into the sleep of death. He was not only texting from her phone, but also driving her car, living in her apartment, and making everyone believe that Monica was fine. When the police investigated, horrifying truths came to light. And the most shocking part is that Monica's body was never found. So let's uncover the hidden truth behind this gruesome murder and the heartbreaking cries of her mother. April 7th, 2019. Moynan was last seen in Holly Springs, North Carolina. She worked as a waitress at a restaurant in Fuquay-Varina, made and sold elderberry syrup on the side, and was raising 2 young daughters, a 3-year-old and an infant. She had just started training to become a doula, helping other mothers bring new life into the world. She lived about an hour away from her mother, Melanie Tucker. They didn't see each other often. Sometimes weeks would pass without a visit or a phone call, but they kept in touch through text messages. The last time they actually spoke to each other was in March 2019. From early April to late July, Tucker sent her daughter repeated texts asking to meet, but Moynan always replied with excuses. They continued texting seemingly normally. In late July, Tucker called the manager of Moynan's apartment. The manager said she hadn't been seen since late March. That's when Tucker realized something was very wrong. It was strange because I was talking to Monica's phone via text that day, like we did many times before. I had no idea I was not talking to Monica, Tucker said. Police began investigating. They found that Moynan had not used her credit cards, hadn't gone to work, and hadn't been seen by anyone since April 7th. The truth was chilling. Her former boyfriend, Brian Sluss, the father of her children, had been driving her car, using her phone, and pretending to be her in texts to friends and on her Instagram. He had even been staying in her apartment, despite a trespass order against him. Court documents later revealed that Sluss admitted to using Moynan's phone and pretending to be her. When Tucker reported her daughter missing, she had a gut feeling. Something was deeply, terribly wrong. According to the search warrants, police went to Moynan's apartment on July 23rd to follow up on the missing person report, and what they found sent a chill through the investigation. Her ex-boyfriend had been staying in her apartment, and the apartment manager told police she hadn't seen Moynan since March. She could only reach her through email and text messages, but she had seen Moynan's 2 children, the 1-year-old and the 4-year-old, the night before, and they had been with Moynan's ex-boyfriend. A BC-11 is not naming him because he has not been charged with a crime. Police reached out to the ex-boyfriend. He claimed he hadn't seen Moynan since June 20th. He told officers that after Moynan started working at Abbey Road Tavern and Grill in Fuquay-Varina, she had become addicted to heroin. The search warrants say that in mid-June, he tried to put her through a home rehab, keeping her in the apartment and forcing her to quit cold turkey. Then, on June 20th, he said he received a text from Moynan, a picture of one of their daughters with the words, "I can't do this anymore." After that, he claimed he never heard from her again. When an officer asked why he had been texting Moynan's mother while pretending to be her, he said he didn't know how to tell her that her daughter was addicted and missing. When asked why he hadn't filed a missing persons report, he said he expected Moynan to come home. The search warrants also revealed he had been driving Moynan's car instead of his own. When officers asked why, he said it was because her car had the car seats for the children in it. Later that same day, police spoke to Moynan's manager at Abbey Road Tavern and Grill. She said she hadn't seen or heard Moynan since March 17th. Since then, she had been receiving text messages from Moynan explaining her absences, claims of being sick or having car trouble. These messages went on for 4 weeks. Her manager described Moynan as a dependable employee, always on time, never missing work. But she also warned police that Moynan might have been in an abusive relationship. A bartender at the restaurant had witnessed one incident with the ex-boyfriend, and Moynan had shown her bruises from an assault, saying, "When something happens to me, I don't know what will happen to my kids." When Moynan's mother spoke to police, she described the ex-boyfriend as abusive and a habitual liar. She said Moynan had once separated from him and even obtained a domestic violence protection order, but he continued to stalk her. So police found records showing he had a history of assault and that Moynan had previously filed a protection order against him. Despite all this, Holly Springs police said some of the ex-boyfriend's actions are suspicious, but he is not currently considered a person of interest. That was part of the initial investigation when it was a missing person case, said Police Chief John Herring. "We're not at a place in the investigation right now where we can name suspects or persons of interest." One of Moynan's friends told police that before she disappeared, Moynan ran a small business that she promoted on social media, including Instagram. She showed officers that Moynan had been posting almost every day until April 2nd. After that, the posts stopped completely. According to the search warrants, there had been no activity on her page since that day. Moynan's mother sent a statement to ABC 11. Monica was a wonderful, warm, free-spirited, strong-minded, hard-working mother. Her children were her whole life, and she was very close to her family. She had recently started her own business, making elderberry syrup called Monty's Magic. She worked tirelessly on it and was truly passionate. She also had big plans about to come true. She had signed up and paid for a doula training course that she was extremely excited to begin in late April. Fakti, Monica was a dedicated, passionate single mom, striving to build a great life for her and her children. She was determined, hardworking, and full of hope. But there was another side to her life, a dark one. Moynan's relationship with Brian had been abusive. A co-worker at her restaurant saw him physically drag her out of the restaurant more than once, and had seen bruises on her. In May 2016, she took out a domestic violence protective order against him. The court determined there was a danger of serious and immediate injury to both Monica and her child from Brian. According to her family and loved ones, even after Moynan got the protective order and they broke up, Brian continued to stalk her. He bombarded her with texts and harassed her, which eventually led to his arrest for domestic violence and violating the protective order. In January 2019, Brian pleaded guilty to assault on a female related to a 2017 domestic violence incident. When Moynan had called the police saying he had choked her, around the same time another incident occurred. Moynan told police he had pushed her to the floor and punched her in the head with his fist. Even as Moynan worked tirelessly to build a life for herself and her children, the shadow of fear and danger from Brian's abuse loomed over her. After Moynan disappeared on April 7th, Brian's constant texting to her stopped. Just a few days later, a neighbor noticed him going in and out of her apartment at 3 a.m., carrying a large black trash bag. A friend of Moynan's told police that she believed she was pregnant when she vanished. When police searched her apartment on Timber Springs Court, they found a positive pregnancy test. They also collected traps from all the sinks, the washing machine drain, a set of curtains, a toy playmat, 2 silver latches, a journal, and other items. On the kitchen floor, they found traces of blood and signs that someone had tried to clean it with bleach. Authorities also searched Brian's home and the home of his ex-wife, Jarlyn Lisbeth Sluss. Records showed that Brian had called Jarlyn on April 7th, and after that day, they began communicating regularly, which they hadn't done before Moynan disappeared. During the searches, police found blood in the cracks of the kitchen tiles in one of the 3 residences. A forensic testing later confirmed that the blood belonged to Moynan. In May 2020, Brian was arrested and charged with Moynan's murder. He was charged under Brittany's law, which allows prosecutors to file first-degree murder charges when the victim is a significant other and the defendant has a previous domestic violence conviction against that victim. Jarlyn was charged with being an accessory after the fact and obstruction of justice. Investigators believe she helped Brian cover up Moynan's disappearance, including impersonating Moynan in a call to her apartment manager. Brian Sluss is a predator, said Melanie Tucker, Moynan's mother. He stalks his prey, he grooms, manipulates, schemes, steals, cheats, and kills. He is a disgusting monster and deserves the worst punishment possible. He ended the life of a beautiful, strong-willed, independent, fun, and intelligent young mom, daughter, sister, and friend. The money was a force to be reckoned with. The courtroom saw a video showing Sluss punching a girl believed to be one of his daughters. Prosecutors also presented surveillance video of Sluss pacing and the double-checking locks on doors and windows, using it to show the jury evidence of his guilt. In April 2022, Brian was convicted of Moynan's murder. It was the first time in Wake County history that someone was convicted of murder without the victim's body ever being found. Brian Sluss was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. This has been a long time in the making, said Assistant District Attorney Catherine Pomery. The only thing I've always wanted is to bring her body home, and I couldn't do that for them. That's a regret I will always have. But getting justice for them means everything. Sluss showed no visible emotion as the sentence was read. Moynan's family, on the other hand, was overcome with emotion. Monica Moynan was my child. I carried her inside my body. I was there for every event, big or small, Tucker said, her voice shaking. I wiped away her tears and held her. I took care of every bump and bruise. I helped her fill out job applications. I was there for the birth of both her babies. Or I caught Nova when Money gave birth to her. Money was my daughter first and always, and as she grew up, she was also my friend. I loved her very much. Friends, such beastly people are not only a black stain on our society, but on all of humanity. When such tragic incidents occur, the lives of parents are shaken by such deep trauma that they are forced to spend the rest of their lives in constant pain and sorrow. To prevent such cruelty, There is an urgent need for swift justice, strict punishment, voice, and a strong, powerful voice raised against these oppressors. We request you to stand with us against this oppression, become part of our community, and together we will continue to expose such criminals. Thank you for watching the video.